Good evening. Welcome in to the PowerMizzou.com postgame live show after a 79-71 Missouri win over Tennessee in the SEC tournament quarterfinals. Guys, I needed 10 minutes to catch my breath. I am Gabe DeArmond, PowerMizzou.com publisher. Drew King is going to be along. I know he's alive. He's going to be along live from Nashville at some point. He right now is probably talking to Dennis Gateson in the Missouri locker room down in Nashville after that win. Want to invite you guys, comments, questions, anything you've got, please put them in the comment queue there if you're watching live with us here on YouTube. Anything you've got to say. Exciting news for you guys. Hey, we've upgraded the staff. We've got Alex Stenman helping us behind the scenes producing here. He's going to take care of the comments, make sure some of those comments and questions get up on the screen as we go along. So anything you have to say about this game, put it up there. Trust me, we'll get to it all. I'm going to react for a little bit first. We'll talk with you guys at some point. Drew is going to jump in and we'll talk with him from Nashville. What a game. The first thing we always do before we get this thing started, and look, this is only possible because we've got people supporting us. James Carlton has supported us all year long. He's really been a friend to the show and to the site. And so we want to thank James and make sure that he gets his love right off the top here. James Carlton, State Farm, 314-961-4800. CarltonInsurance.net is the internet address. James is a huge Mizzou fan. He's been doing a lot with our site. He's been contributing a lot to Mizzou's NIL efforts. He does some things on radio in St. Louis. And so James wants to do two things for you. He wants to give you the best deal he can on your insurance, and he wants to help Mizzou out. The way he does that, if you get in touch with James at that website or at that phone number that I just read off, which will scroll across the bottom of the screen throughout much of the show, and you get an insurance quote from him, he's going to donate $20 to every True Tiger Foundation, Mizzou's NIL collective of choice. So want you guys to do that. And now this game. I mean, look, I don't know where to start, guys. First of all, that was a phenomenal basketball game. The first half was a little bit ugly. I thought both teams looked like they had some nerves. Both teams kicked the ball around a little bit. Not the most aesthetically pleasing half. That second half was just two really good basketball teams standing toe-to-toe and just punching each other in the face, sometimes quite literally. I told a bunch of friends, and Alex and I were talking right before we went live with this. This team, like, I didn't know if they were going to win. With 2 minutes left, I said, I don't know if they're going to win, but I don't know how you don't love this team. They are incredibly fun to watch. I've got a friend who covers another SEC team who was texting me from the SEC tournament. He said, I'm in. I would pay to watch this team. That's how fun this team is. It has come out of nowhere. This is no longer like an underdog story or a surprise. This team is legitimately good. You could maybe say, hey, the first time they beat Tennessee, they needed a 40-footer to do it and all that. There was none of that. This team was tied with the best defensive team in the country. By the way, they scored 50 points in the second half on the best defensive team in the country. 49. But they were tied with Tennessee, who the computers tell us is one of the best teams in the country, who is going to be probably a 3 seed, maybe a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament. They're tied with 2 minutes left and go on a 10-2 run to finish the game. Nick Honor barely shoots the ball all game, 5 straight points. Kobe Brown, argue with me if you want, best game of his Missouri career. Demoy Hodge, I mean, he missed a bunch of shots early. It just wasn't working. Missed a layup at one point. And then just a ridiculous second half, guys. I mean, he ends up with 26 points. Tennessee, they made a big deal on the broadcast. Tennessee had allowed 2 players to score 20 points all season long. 9 players all season long. Missouri had 2 of them tonight. Demoy Hodge, 26 points on 9 of 16 shooting. Kobe Brown, 24 points on 9 of 13 shooting. They combined to go 7 of 15 from three-point range. Outside of those 2, Missouri went 12 for 28 from the field. Not awful, but also not great. Kobe with 9 rebounds. Hodge and Kobe combined 6 assists, 1 turnover. Three steals. I mean, it was a 2-man show that these guys put on in this game, and it was good enough mostly just with those two. Now, I don't want to take away credit from Nick Honor. DeAndre Golston made some big plays. There were a lot of things that happened. But this was Kobe Brown and Demoy Hodge putting Missouri on its back and dragging it on their back and dragging them to the SEC semifinals for the first time ever. Tomorrow, Alabama is up at noon. But here was the beauty of this tournament. And then we're going to look at some numbers and I want to get to your guys' comments. But here's the beauty of this tournament. I said all week coming in, this tournament can't hurt Missouri. Losing by 15 would not have hurt Missouri. If they came into today as a 7 seed, had they lost this game 75-60, they were still going to be a 7 seed. You can only benefit. They picked up a 6th quad 1 win. It is maybe the most impressive win of the year. Does this push them up? I don't know, but they at least stay the same. If they win again tomorrow, if they beat Alabama, I think you're looking at a team that's a 6 seed, maybe even a little bit better. This team is now 24-8, and I'm rambling because I don't even know where to start. So where I want to start is I want to throw up some of the numbers from you for you guys, just so you can get a look at what happened in this game. And we are going to do that right here. Here's the stats. Mizzou 79-71. Missouri shoots 52% from the field. Now, you might have said first time around in Knoxville, right? Hey, this is a fluke. Like, nobody shoots this way against Tennessee, right? Well, Mizzou just shot this way against Tennessee for the second time. 10 of 26 from three-point range. That is nearly 40%. And it's after at least an 0 for 5 start. I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but at least 0 for 5. Missouri had 8 turnovers in the first half. They had 3 in the second half. At halftime, Tennessee had an advantage in points off turnovers, 12-5. That was the crazy thing, was Tennessee was kicking the ball all over the arena and Missouri wasn't doing anything with it. At halftime, Tennessee had 12 points off turnovers. Missouri had 5. At the end of the game, 18-16, Missouri. Free throws, look, Missouri started very poorly, 3 of 7. They made their last 6. When it came time to get things done, when they had to have it, this team came through, as they have come through all year long. This will not officially go down as a win, obviously, by 5 points or less. I thought it was going to be a 5 points or less game. I wrote after the last game, Missouri is 8-0 in games decided by 5 or less. I thought this was going to be number 9. It wasn't, simply because Missouri was so good at the end that they won by 8 instead of winning by 5. And this team, like, that was an NCAA tournament game, guys. That was the atmosphere of this game. That was an NCAA tournament atmosphere, and not like a first round playing, East Tennessee Tech. That was like a Sweet 16 atmosphere. And Missouri was up to the challenge and met it. And because of that, they march on to Saturday and the SEC tournament semifinals. So what I want to do, I just want Alex to kind of go through, throw up some of your guys' comments, questions, whatever it is. I just want to hear from you guys, and Drew will eventually join us and we'll get his take. And Robert says this team's tough and fearless when the game is on the line. That's what it is, guys. I mean, if you don't trust this team at this point, there's nothing else they could do. I mean, every single time it has come down to the wire, they have come through. Now, look, they've gotten beat bad a couple times, right? Auburn ran them out of the gym. Texas A&M games were over early in the second half. Kansas beat them by 28. Like, they've gotten beat badly. But when they've been in the game and had a chance with 5 minutes left, they've won the game every single time. You're 100% right, Robert. It was just incredible. And again, invite you guys, any comments or questions you have, put them up. We're going to kind of run through them and just go through and see what you guys want to talk about, because we want this to be your show. Because as you see, like, I'm all over the place. There's so much I'm not sure what to talk about. Zachary says, really like our chances tomorrow. Shot 3 for 28 from 3 in the first meeting. Don't think that happens again. I will point out that they played the first Alabama game without Kobe Brown. If you remember, that was the game where he had turned an ankle and he was out there in warmups and Dennis Gates just said no, pulled him. And Dennis wouldn't say it out loud, But my thought going into that was he looked and he said, look, Kobe, 80%, we're probably not winning this game. Alabama was playing as well as anybody in the country. With a compromised Kobe Brown, we're not winning this game. So let's rest him. And if we get beat, we get beat. And they did get beat. It wasn't particularly close. Again, 3 for 28 from three. That probably doesn't happen again. Now, I will say, I have said all year since the first time they played, I think Alabama is the best team in the country. Alabama played incredibly well today. They very well could beat Missouri by 20 again. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't hurt Missouri. I mean, you are in the tournament semifinals against the probably number 2 or 3 overall seed, Alabama. Now, here's what I like. Alabama's not really playing for anything. They're 1 seed. They're locked in. I'm not sure Missouri's playing for anything except for the fact that for this team and this program where they are, winning an SEC tournament would be huge. Like I'm interested, and I'm going to throw this out to you guys and put your answers in the comments and we'll get to them, as we go through the show. But if I give you the choice, Missouri wins the SEC tournament and loses in round 1, or Missouri loses to Alabama tomorrow, wins a game, and then loses in round 2 next week, which one would you choose? I think most of you will say, give me the NCAA tournament win, and I get it. I think I would say, give me the SEC tournament win. For this program to hang a banner in year 1 of Dennis Gates would be, I mean, it'd be great. Now, look, ending the 13-year losing streak in the NCAA tournament, also great. Don't get me wrong. And I know what you're really saying is, well, of course we want both. And I get, of course you want both. But it'll be interesting to see. Look, I'm not going to doubt this Missouri team. I mean, Alabama's better. There's not much doubt, but Missouri can go toe-to-toe with just about anybody. So Missouri, once again, a 79-71 winner. We got almost 200 of you guys on here. I appreciate that. Everybody obviously pretty happy and pretty excited, wants to talk about this one. So Justin says Gates should have been coach of the year. Hodge should have been first team all defense. I agree Dennis Gates should have been coach of the year. And I said I would have voted for him. I didn't have a huge problem with Dennis Gates, with Buzz Williams winning it. You know who did? His players. Like literally when we asked, and I can't remember who it was, but somebody asked Nick Honor on media day on Monday before the team left, said, you kind of seem to have some tweets. What did you think about Coach Gates not being coach of the year? And his face lit up and he said, I'm so glad you asked me that. And they all said he should have been the coach of the year. And look, if all you've got is one player on the first team, nobody on the second team, nobody on the all freshman team, nobody on the all defense team, you finish in the top 4 of the league and you go to the conference semifinals, did a hell of a coaching job. So Dennis Gates should have been coach of the year. Now, I think this has actually worked out pretty well because what you've seen since that happened was a lot of people that are saying that. I was on radio in Knoxville this morning and they said it's an absolute joke Dennis Gates wasn't the coach of the year. What the hell's going on here? Jimmy Dykes has said it for 2 straight days on the broadcast in this tournament. So Dennis Gates, almost by not winning that award, is getting more respect than he was. As far as Hodge, first team all defense, I would have put him on the team, but he is a very weird defensive player. He can take the ball away. Like he has the fastest hands. He is elite at stealing the basketball. I don't really know if he's a good defensive player, guys. Like, I'm just being honest with you. He sags off and gets beat a lot. I mean, his idea of a closeout is just to sprint past the shooter. I don't know if he's a great defensive player or not. I probably would have put him first team all defense, but I think a lot of people looked and said, well, this isn't a very good defensive team. I just can't vote for anybody from Missouri. The bigger snub probably is Dennis Gates. So I would agree with Justin and a lot of people who are commenting similarly in the comments as we go. If you're just joining us once again, 79-71 win. I'm sure you know that. Questions and comments and all that. Jacob Estes says first conference semifinal in a decade, and hopefully this win bumps Mizzou up. Yeah, it is the first time they've been in a conference tournament semifinal since they won the Big 12 tournament in Kansas City in 2012. Obviously, that was the 31-win season in Frank Haith's first year. I joked during the week, Missouri could have called Greg Sankey earlier this week and said, we're not coming to Nashville. We're just going to forfeit. And they would have tied the deepest run they'd ever made in the SEC tournament. They obviously didn't do that. They are in the conference semis for the first time ever. They're there with the win over Tennessee, face Alabama. Does it bump Mizzou up a seed? It could. But obviously we're never going to know that because like if Missouri ends up a 6 seed, I'm not sure Missouri wasn't a 6 seed before today. But this cements a 7, and I think it makes a 6 possible. I more than that seems probably a little too much. I mean, they do still have some of the metrics dragging them down. They've lost 8 times. They've been blown out. So higher than a 6 seems unlikely. Now, if they run the table and win the thing, can they get up to a 5? Maybe. But I would say I think maybe this is a 6 seed come Selection Sunday. We're only 48 hours away from that selection show. And real quick, I do want to kind of let you guys know what we're going to do here this weekend. So obviously we're live now. Drew King is going to join me from Nashville at some point. Look, he's busy. He's getting post-game reaction from Missouri. We want him to focus on that. He's going to click in at some point. Now that we know they play tomorrow, we will go live tomorrow afternoon. So the Bama game's at noon, ends about 2, probably be on here about 2:30 with you guys for, an hour or whatever it takes tomorrow afternoon. We will then, even if they play Sunday, we're not doing a post-game show Sunday because they will have the selection show. And so we will wait until after the NCAA tournament selection show, and we will be live with you guys on Sunday night. If Missouri is playing on Sunday, the team will be in Nashville and Drew will stay in Nashville and he'll join us from there. If they lose tomorrow, we will all be in Columbia. The team will be at Mizzou Arena. We'll go over and talk to them, and then we'll do a show from the arena afterwards. But we will be here with you guys every day this weekend. If you're just joining us, want to let you take one more look at how Missouri did this. 52% against the best defense in the country. I have not looked through Tennessee's entire schedule. I'm going to do that real quickly right now. But Missouri scored 86 on them earlier this season. Tennessee gave up 55 yesterday. So I'm just going to run through the numbers. They gave up 78 to Colorado early on. Other than that, 75 to Arizona. 71 to Texas. And 79 to Auburn. So Tennessee has given up 75 points exactly 4 times this year. 2 of them have been to Missouri. The 2 highest scoring outputs of the season, or 2 of the 3, because Auburn also scored 79, are Missouri. 79 against Tennessee, 86 against Tennessee. Only one other team has scored as many as 79 points. This is an elite defensive team. And once again, want to shout out Alex joining us. Hopefully he's going to be producing some of these shows for us. He's going to, I contacted Alex like literally yesterday. He's throwing some things together quickly for us and running the ship here. He's going to, but have a little more time, hopefully, to do it in the future. If we, but I do not plan things super far in advance. So I did this yesterday. So want to thank him for jumping on here with us, and thank all you guys as well for jumping in. Let's see somebody else. Spencer Tumbleson says, I need a round 1 win. The last time they won a tournament game, I was a freshman watching it in the frat house in the living room. That's kind of in response to me asking you guys, like, what would you rather have, an SEC tournament title or an NCAA tournament win? And I get it. I get it. That's the tournament that matters. I think most people would say lose to Bama tomorrow, give me more. And we'll talk plenty about this team in the NCAA tournament when we see the matchups and we know what it's going to look like. But like, I'm not going to rule out that this team's playing on the second weekend. I mean, they've now beaten 6 teams that are going to be in this tournament. I think they're good. Carried by Dad said he'd rather have the SEC championship, but also not losing in the first round. And that's really the right attitude. I don't know why you doubt this team. I really don't. They've answered every question. They've answered every doubter. Kobe Brown, absolutely phenomenal today. Carter says we want the hardware. That's the SEC championship trophy. There's not a wrong answer here, right? I mean, you can take either one you want, and again, you want both. But I just think for this program to be able to say we just went and won the SEC tournament. And to do it, we went through Tennessee, Alabama, and either Kentucky or Texas A&M. It's not impossible Arkansas or Vandy gets there, but I think it's going to be either Kentucky or A&M. To do that, I mean, guys, and I want to hang on this with David for a minute because he brings up a good point. This team's going to go down in history like Pitino's unforgettables at Kentucky, no matter how it all finishes. Now, it is possible that could happen. Yes. Now, the reason that Kentucky team, and for those of you that are too young to know, and I'm sure there are a lot of you, Kentucky was on probation. Like literally, Sports Illustrated ran a cover that said "Kentucky shame." Eddie Sutton, had gotten them in some trouble, and they're on probation, and so basically they bring in this class of unheralded guys, and that class is the one that I think they were juniors, included John Pelfrey and some other guys, but then they add Jamal Mashburn as this All-American recruit under Rick Pitino. And it's the team that lost to Duke on the Christian Laettner shot with 2.1 seconds left in the 1992 NCAA tournament. And that team is called the Unforgettables because that's the one Kentucky fans always look back at and say, they were the ones that pulled us out of the misery. And they didn't get there, but we got back there because of them. So two things here. First of all, Missouri wasn't like last year was really bad. I'm not saying that, but 2 years ago, Missouri was in the NCAA tournament. Like, this is not the lowest this program has been. This isn't even the lowest this program has been in the last 5 years. Conzo Martin took over an absolute terrible situation. And by the way, Conzo deserves some credit for bringing Kobe Brown here. Like, the best player on this team, and I'm not trying to turn it into a Conzo versus Gates thing. I'm just saying they're not as low as some people pretend that they have been, but they won 12 games last year and they were in a bad spot. So for this team to be remembered that way, the future teams have to go on and get things done, right? Like, a lot of people look back at Brad Smith in Missouri football because Brad Smith was the guy that got them to a bowl game. But Chase Daniel was the guy that got him to the mountaintop. But everybody understands they don't get to the mountaintop without Brad pushing them a decent amount of the way up. He wasn't there when they got to the top, but he did a lot of the work to get there. So if Dennis Gates ends up being super successful at Missouri, and there's a lot of reason to think he might be, if that happens, you're going to remember Trey Gomillion and Dre Golston and Kobe Brown and Demoy Hodge and Noah Carter and Sean East today, maybe notwithstanding. And if this program goes on to, say, the first Final Four in school history or winning SEC titles or whatever, this is the team you'll look back at and say, those guys started. So absolutely, David Newman, 100% correct on that comment. Legacy is ultimately determined by the teams after you, but I agree, and this is the way I started the show, David. I mean, I don't know how you don't love this team. I don't care if they lose tomorrow and they lose in the first round. Missouri fans should love this team and should be very excited about where this program is going. I've told people in the last couple of weeks, I just said this on Knoxville radio, I said, I legitimately think I cover the most entertaining team in college basketball. Like, sometimes they're not good, right? But they're never not interesting. And there were a couple different times today when they started out, when Tennessee's kicking the ball all over the arena and Missouri just wasn't taking advantage, you thought, Missouri should be up 10 points. How's this happening again? I mean, eventually Tennessee's gonna get this done. Then second half starts. Mohamed Diarra misses back-to-back dunks, and Tennessee goes up 38-30. And you kind of thought, you didn't think it was over, but you thought they really need an answer here. Well, Demoy Hodge comes down and hits a three, and then Missouri goes on a 9-1 run to tie the game, and then it felt like that game was never, a 2-possession game until like the final seconds again. And I'm going to check that. So the Hodge three makes it 38-33. Missouri ties the game at 39. After that, Um, Missouri led 50-46. And that was it, guys. 4 points was the biggest lead that either team had until a minute and 25 seconds remained. I mean, that is absolutely insane that, the entire second half was played in a 4-point window. Just heard from Drew King. I'm gonna invite him to the show. He's gonna be jumping on shortly with us from Nashville. Again, feel free, comments, questions, and after we do talk to Drew, we will get back to you guys and kind of finish up with what you're talking about. Andrew said felt very bad when Tennessee was up 16-9, and yeah, that was kind of the point where you go, seems a little sketchy. Like it seemed, I really thought both teams went into halftime and should have felt like, hang on, we should be up 10 points in this game. How is this happening? We've got our guy here. We've got Drew King live from Nashville. Drew, where are you at, man? Are you in that huge dark curtained room in Nashville?
That's correct. Yes, I am. It is dark. There's a lot of lights, like bright lights in here, but it's pointed kind of down. So
if you can slide about 3 inches to your left, that blocks the lamp that was so just give us, I mean, tell us post game, were you with Gates? Were you in the locker room? Kind of what did you do after this ended?
Yeah, so I kind of just hung around in the locker room. I figured that Gates, I'll talk to him some other time because we don't always
he's
get to
not
talk to the
hugely
players.
Emotional after games anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So I talked to a bunch of different players though, and so kind of my main takeaway is this is a really exciting win for them. It kind of shows that the first game is not a fluke. Like they really do have the upper hand over Tennessee, and so they're really excited about moving on into the tournament and going up against Alabama tomorrow.
And tell me if the feeling down there, like I think this team came into this tournament with something to prove, but I think this team expects to win that game at this point. I don't know why they wouldn't. They've won that game almost every time they've had a chance.
Yeah, and especially when it's a big game like this one, right? They win the bragging rights game and the Kentucky game. Like they play to the level of competition. So sometimes that means that they're only going to beat Ole Miss by 5 points. But if you're going up against a ranked Tennessee team in the SEC tournament and somebody has to go home, Mizzou's going to play its best game, and I think that's what happened today.
The biggest reason Missouri won this game was Kobe Brown, Demoy Hodge, or something else I'm forgetting about?
So this was kind of one of my takeaways was that when Tennessee started playing like themselves, where they don't really allow that many 3-pointers to go in, I thought DeAndre Golston and Kobe were really the ones who had to step up and carry the offense for a while. And that was something that I talked to DeAndre about, was that when they don't have the shots falling from outside, like it's really on him to be one of the people who gets aggressive and starts going to the rim and attacking the basket and making some of those mid-ranges that he had today, because otherwise I think this would have been a really different game for Missouri if they couldn't make threes and they couldn't make anything on twos other than Kobe posting up at the basket. So I thought,
because they weren't making free throws either.
Right, absolutely. And so I thought Golston was a pretty big plus for them today. But obviously, Hodge hit a bunch of threes in that second half. Nick Honor had the shot of the game, and Kobe was great. So it was a bunch of different people.
And I mean, low key, I thought for the first 15 minutes of the second half, Noah Carter was the best player on the team.
Yeah, no, he actually was like one of the few guys who had a positive plus minus through the first half. And size is something that he's never going to have an advantage in going up against a team like Tennessee. But I feel like the last couple of games, he's really started to find his footing again, figuring out how he can help the team. I thought he held his own on the boards today, even with the size disadvantage that he's had. So, yeah, Noah Carter absolutely had a good game.
It was kind of hard to tell on TV. What's it like in the arena? Was it Tennessee home game like, or not? Was it mostly Kentucky fans?
So it was a little tough to tell because I was closer to the Tennessee side, so it was a little bit louder on that end. But it did seem like it was mostly a Kentucky game. There were a pretty good pack of Mizzou fans right behind the bench from, I'm assuming, families and stuff. But yeah, I think it was more of a Tennessee crowd than it was a Mizzou crowd today.
Yeah. Curious. We all just found out a few minutes before the game Trey Gomillion couldn't play. Any word down there on is this all weekend, or do you have any idea?
So I'm not for sure yet. I'll have to check to see if Dennis Gates said anything in the press conference. My best guess is it was a game time decision based on Troy's groin injury again, because we didn't find out until like right before tip off, which is usually when Gates makes those kinds of decisions.
Right. I'm curious, and then we're gonna see if we've got any questions for you while you're on here. But
Yeah.
you were in the arena for Alabama Mississippi State. It looked to me like Bama woke up from that kind of 2 or 3 week. Hey, we don't really look like a number one seed anymore.
No, Bama's gonna be a pretty tough matchup for Mizzou. Um, they like just did not take their foot off of Mississippi State's neck the whole game, and so they look like a true one seed. I think they could end up as the number one overall seed if they end up winning this tournament. So you're absolutely like right because Alabama was firing on all cylinders that game.
Yeah. So real quick, look, we're nearing 300 people here live with us. So appreciate all you guys being
Awesome.
here. This is as many as I think we've had all year. So while you're here, hit the like button, subscribe, comment, tell Drew you're very impressed with his suit and tie look.
All
And
compliments welcome.
yes, absolutely. And Alex, if you can, any of the comments that have come on since Drew's here, while we've got Drew, if you guys have any questions for him and Zachary, not specific to you, but would beating Bama put them on the 5-6 line? Like, so I said coming in, let's assume they're a 7. We don't know if that's
Mhm.
right, but coming into the tournament, let's assume they're a 7. We know they're not going to slip below that.
Yeah.
After watching today, I'm not sure they're not a 6.
Yeah. No, I think with this win, they're for sure not an 8, right? I think that they were kind of
Oh
on the
yeah.
fringe 7, 8, and I think with this win, they're for sure a 7. And so yeah, I think a win over an Alabama team would give them another quad one win. They would be up to what 7 on the year or something 6 maybe. I don't
Yeah,
know what
this
this.
is 6 today.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So 7 on the year with no bad losses. And also it would make up for like their worst loss of the season where they lost to Alabama by over 30 points. So I think that absolutely that could move them up to the 6 or even a 5 because Alabama is that good.
Yeah, I think I- 5, I think you got to win the tournament, and I'm just not sure the committee's paying attention by then. But I
Yeah,
don't think it's out of the question. I mean, look, if Tennessee's a 3 or a 4 seed, Missouri's not a 7. I
yeah.
mean, and I understand matchups and all that, but like I don't watch those teams play and think that Tennessee is a better team than Missouri.
No, I agree. I mean, they kind of proved it today. Obviously, Zakai Ziegler was out in this one, and Josiah Jordan James was out in the last one. But they beat them twice, and today they didn't need a buzzer beater to do it. So yeah,
Right.
I think that Mizzou showed that it's the better team today.
They really wrecked that 5 points or less thing by going on a 10-2 run to end the game. Travis with some compliments.
Appreciate you,
Also,
Travis.
I did see that Andrew Kessel shouted out your suit and tie. Nobody shouted out my long sleeve T-shirt look. I thought this was a
It
solid
looks
look.
good, Gabe. It looks
I
good.
look, I matched the backdrop, man. This is what we
Yeah,
do here. It's all about the aesthetics. We just want to look good for people.
Andrew
So
Kessel, great first name, by the way.
I do want to ask you, Drew, real quick. Did it seem when you were there like there was ever a time that game was close to like maybe a fight?
To a
Because it got
fight.
pretty chippy there for a little while, I thought.
I don't know about a fight. There was like a little bit of beef between the Tennessee's
Plavsic and
big man. Yeah,
everyone.
yeah,
Yeah.
Plavsic and specifically Mo Diarra. There was that jump ball where
Mhm.
Mo kind of Muhammad kind of chirped at him there. So that was kind of the closest. I didn't think it was ever like that much uh rage, I guess, against each
Yeah.
other there. It was definitely
I
physical though.
Oh yeah, no question. There are going to be some bruises, and like, look, I would just advise if I coached a basketball team, I would legitimately say this: if the guy that has the ball gets within a foot of you, turn around and dive on the floor because they're going to
Yeah.
call it a charge. I mean, Sean East got called for a foul while he was just laying under the basket. I don't know how that's even possible.
Yeah, that was I mean it technically is a foul. Like you don't necessarily get to land underneath a shooter. So I understood the
Yes.
call, but like there's nothing Sean could do in that
Well,
spot.
right. And like I credit Demoy Hodge because after like the third Tennessee flop that got called, the next possession, Demoy Hodge just took a dive and it got called too. So
he
way to
had
go,
his
man.
he
Way
had
to
his
go.
legs like up over his head. He
That
did a good
was
job selling it.
it might have been the worst call of the game, no question. Hey, I mean, all in all, a heck of an effort out of this team, and I thought really fun game. Just kind of to wrap up here with you because I know you got a lot of work to do, and you're going to be
Yeah.
back there at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. Um, you know, does it seem pretty full? I mean, this is the first full crowd they've had since COVID. I mean,
Yeah.
did it feel like a big time atmosphere? Because watching that game felt like a Sweet 16 Elite Eight game on TV.
Yeah, it's definitely a full crowd. A lot of people here. I'm checking the notes right now. They don't have an attendance listed yet, but I'll
Mhm.
try to find out what that number was because what I found really interesting too was like it wasn't just Tennessee and Missouri either. Like you had
Right.
Kentucky people here, you still had Alabama people in the crowd. Like so, people were realizing like this is a fun tournament to watch, and so it was cool to see, um, a full packed arena for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, Drew, again, I know you got tons of stuff to do. Thanks for jumping on, man. And everybody will read your stuff later and we'll be in touch.
Definitely. Sounds good.
All right, thanks. That is Drew King live from Bridgestone Arena in Nashville, Tennessee. Again, Drew was in the locker room and talked to the Missouri players. He's going to have coverage going forward tonight. He'll have another preview tomorrow morning because Missouri plays again. Once again, Mizzou a 79-71 winner. Kobe Brown 24-9. I thought it was the best game Kobe's ever played in a Mizzou uniform. Demoy Hodge 26. Drew talked about Dre Golston. I talked a little about Noah Carter. Um, it was really those four guys, and then Nick Honor just like nothing all game really. And then, oh, you need 5 points here. I'm gonna give you 5 points. Just a really nice drive for a layup, and then a 23 footer that put Missouri up. I think it was 6, and kind of felt like, oh, hang on, this is really going to happen. So I thought those five guys really all contributed. Shawnee's tough day, right? I mean, it just was. Mohamed Diarra, tough day. It just was. But what has carried this team all year is that when a couple of guys have a tough day, there's almost always been somebody else to pick up the slack. And that's why they're sitting here at 24-8, getting ready for the SEC tournament semifinals. So, what we want to do here, real quick. Alex let me know, by the way, that the attendance at Bridgestone Arena was 16,107. So, it's not capacity down there, but that's pretty solid, 16,000 people. So it's hard to tell sometimes on TV, right? It feels a little different in the arena. So here's what I want to do, guys. We're at about 40 minutes. We got a lot of people, so I want to ask you one more time. Like the show, subscribe to the channel, do all the things that professional YouTube people ask you to do. If you listen on the podcast later, say nice things about us on social media and all that. But what I want Alex to do is just kind of rapid fire through some of these comments. Just put them on the screen one after the other because I appreciate you guys all being here, and I just want to make sure that some of you guys get some love for being here and get your comments on the screen and all that. We're going to take about 5 more minutes to wrap things up as we get done. And there you go. Dallas out in Colorado wants to know. It is, well, Dallas, your time tomorrow will be 11 a.m. game. It is a noon game here, noon game in Nashville. And that time is set. Like that's the first game of the day. So they will tip off at 11 a.m. Colorado time against the Alabama Crimson Tide. David Newman says second weekend run. There's a chance, man. There really is. And look, I never make picks before the brackets come out, right? Because if they get matched up against some team that has 2, 6, 11 guys, I like the second weekend thing a little bit less. But this team has beaten, Kentucky and Illinois in back-to-back games. They're going to get Tennessee and now maybe Alabama. Like, those are 2 top 15 teams. If they can beat them on back-to-back days, they can absolutely win back-to-back games in the NCAA tournament. Bama, 21 hours rest, down a player. Missouri, 19 hours rest, down a player. Tomorrow's house money for Missouri, no question. Tomorrow is just go out there and see what happens. And if you get a win, hey, maybe you are a 5 seed. Maybe you do rise up a little bit more. But they're in the mix. Felt like Honor played such a pivotal role today, and it's weird. Like, I didn't think I thought the best thing Nick Honor did for about the first 30 minutes was like just not screw up, because they had another point guard that was kind of kicking the ball around and making some mistakes. And Honor was fine, right? He was steady. But then it was the same as, and I think it was the Mississippi State game where Honor just hit the biggest 3 of the game in overtime. He did again. Just, oh, you need me to shoot? Okay, well, I guess I'll shoot. I didn't realize you wanted me to shoot, but I can do that. And he did it 5 straight points. Came up huge in the clutch. Nathan says, playing with house money, incredible year, 100%, man. And look, truthfully, I've seen some people say throughout the season that it's obvious, like, hey, you're a fan and you're happy, and I love. Well, guys, this team's fun, man. Who wouldn't have fun watching this team, right? And you guys are happy and everybody's engaged. We got 300 people on here on a Friday night. Absolutely, man. This is great to have this program, back to a point where it matters this time of year, because this is the time of year for most of the last 8 years. We've been sitting here saying one of 2 things: either God, can this please be over? Or what day should we publish the hot board? And that's it. I mean, there was the Conzo's first year, had the excitement and obviously, it fizzled a little bit. But that season you couldn't really even enjoy because we spent so much of it talking about the guy that wasn't playing. And then the other year he went to the tournament. It was weird because it was the COVID year. So you couldn't really go to games. So you felt a little disconnected to begin with. And then, they fizzled down the stretch and it just didn't go. Now, I mean, this is I don't think there's any question. I've covered this program for 20 years. I'd put this in the top 3 of the teams that I've enjoyed covering, along with the 08-09 team that went to the Elite 8, and then the team in Frank Hayes' first year that won the Big 12 and then obviously lost to Norfolk. So, and Dan says, and I totally agree, so hard to remember we were in the COVID tournament because sports was just so weird and like you couldn't go. So it was like they were happening in this disembodied thing, So yeah, it'll be fun that Drew and I will be at the NCAA tournament somewhere Thursday or Friday. We'll actually be there a little sooner to be able to talk to the guys beforehand and all that, but they will play either Thursday or Friday somewhere. We know that. We know they will be seeded to win a game, which I think means they get to – I think it means they get to choose the uniforms they wear, whether it's white or something else. But they're going to be the higher seed in a first-round NCAA tournament game. And they are playing tomorrow in the SEC tournament semifinals. And if you go back to November 1st and you were saying that, either you were a liar or you believe every Missouri team every year is going to do those things, because there was no way to see this coming, right? I don't feel bad that I didn't pick this team to be 24-8 and in the top 4 of the SEC and playing in the SEC tournament semifinal. Who could have seen this coming? Noah Carter had never done it at this level. Demoy Hodge had never done it at this level. Nick Honor had never really done it at this level. Sean East, Mohamed Diarra, these are brand new guys. Drake Olston had never done it at this level. Kobe Brown hadn't done it like this. So what's that all point to? Yeah, Dennis Gates probably should have been the SEC Coach of the Year. I think this kind of proves that. There you go. Adam agrees with me. But I'm sure Dennis will trade that for a trophy this weekend and maybe a little bit of a run in March. I'm sure you guys would all agree. Hey, it'd be fun to have the Coach of the Year, but take the wins. I think Drew and I on the midweek show set the over-under on wins the rest of the year at 2.5. They've got 1. Question is, do they get 2 more? So we'll see. Really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Again, biggest crowd we've had, and we may top it tomorrow. They beat Alabama. Who knows? People get a little busy on Saturday, but appreciate everybody being here. There you go. Freeway Jared doing my job. Like the video, subscribe. Yeah, would appreciate you guys certainly doing that. And would also appreciate you guys getting in touch with my friend James Carlton from James Carlton State Farm. There you go, carltoninsurance.net, scrolling across the bottom of the screen if you're watching on YouTube, 314-961-4800. In case you're listening on the podcast, once again, 314-961-4800. If you're super old, you're still on Facebook, look up Carlton Insurance on Facebook. And James wants to take care of your insurance needs. So just get in touch with them. You've all got to have insurance. Make sure you're getting the best deal you can. You all also should be invested in Missouri being good at sports. And while Missouri is good at sports, the way you stay good at sports. By the way, there's a player on this team that theoretically could come back next year. He had 24 points and 9 rebounds. I'm just going to say the way that probably happens is through name, image, and likeness, right? Well, James wants to help you with that. If you call James or you email him, you go online and you get a quote from him, and you tell him you heard about it on Power Mizzou, he's going to donate $20 on your behalf to the Power Mizzou arm of the Every True Tiger Foundation NIL Collective. So that is a win-win-win, as Michael Gary Scott would say. Once again, guys, appreciate you all hanging out with us tonight. And we are going to be back after the game tomorrow. I've got a little writing to do. Drew King has a lot of writing to do tonight and tomorrow. We will be back live with you post-game right here on this same YouTube channel. I want to thank Alex for running the show behind the scenes and hanging out with us on very short notice. And hopefully he didn't get too tired of listening to me, and he might want to do this again in the future. Hope you guys want to do it again in the future as well. We will talk to you all later. Missouri, a 79-71 winner. We'll be back next time.